Well, one is negative and the other one is positive.
Yes.
The positive is that it's an inquiry in those who have never been modern, which is Chilean as much as French, and who try to explore collectively, if they have never been modern, what do they hold to? What is their value system, we could say in a very banal phrase, and how would you do about doing this inquiry, which is necessary collective. I've started it many years ago, but and try to be a bit systematic in surveying the numbers of values, the numbers of interests, which would define those who have never been very at ease in the notion of modernity, even though it was imposed on them. In a way, it has been imposed in so-called colonial society, but it has also been imposed in the so-called metropolis. Colonialism as modernity has been imposed to the farmers of England in the 17th century, just as roughly as it has been imposed to the Indians of Chile. So modernity is a war. I mean, it's not. It's a decision about war and peace. It's not something that describes a state. So the only way to do positively an inquiry in the ruins, so to speak, of modernity is to ask a bit systematically what you hold to. I mean, what is the thing you really hold to? And that's what this inquiry tries to do. We don't exist as modern. We have to be composed. So we know that at the end of the inquiry. What Anne-Marie Moll objected was that she's a postmodern, and she, of course, defined all the sort of cliché of postmodernity, fluidity, multiplicity, etc., in one mode, in one single mode, which is the mode of which the postmodern have inherited from the modern, which is the appeal to multiplicity, fluidity, movement, nomadism, etc. I mean, all the package that you get out of modernity when you begin to criticize it. But it's one mode. So what I was interested in the inquiry into is what could be called ontological pluralism. That is, can we listen to what happened in Europe as well as in other countries in a multimodal tone? That is, can we hear other ontologies, alternative ontologies? So it's a slight controversy on otherness. She wants a lot of others, but there are lots of others in the same otherness, so to speak. I want maybe not so many otherness, but very different in terms of ontology. So that when we re-enter into the negotiation with former modernized, which is now everybody, we begin to have a common ground where we can say, okay, those are the beings we hold to, and those are the beings you hold to, and then let's see what can we collect them together or not. As long as we have not done our own inquiry, this sort of negotiation is impossible. It's very connected to Sloterdijk. I've read a lot of it, and Sloterdijk is the point of Sloterdijk is I think it's the same spirit, but it's a different tone, if I say, because Sloterdijk is not interested in the ethnographic part. I mean, it's not an empiricist. The voice of Sloterdijk is somewhere. Never knows where. That's the problem with Sloterdijk. So it's not really an inquiry, but it is a beautiful sort of streams of
air conditioned
of great ideas. But when you want to know where the ideas are from and how to negotiate about it, you cannot operationalize it. So I'm a simple-minded empiricist compared to Sloterdijk, I think. Luhmann is the same as the same poem as Anne-Marie Mode in a different tone, which is that it is one mode, which is basically, it's differentiation, but only on one mode, which is communication. Everything is communication. The communication itself is understood in a sort of pseudo-biological autopoiesis, vaguely buried like borrowed, from Varela, actually. It's a strand. So when you study law, religion, whatever, it's always the same. It's always communication, it's always autopoiesis. And that's absolutely the opposite of ontological pluralism, because the modes are really different. You don't have the same beings at all. If you are interested and seized by the beings of, I don't know, law or politics or religion and so on. Well, I think everybody is imagining another future and a better future than capitalism. Yeah, capitalism has no future in a way. I mean, it's not something of the future, it's something of the past, in the sense that it's a definition of what happens, which is entirely predetermined by the slope, as Graeber would say, of the past, which the figure is that of depth. So, in technically, capitalism is not about the future, it's about the past, where the debt has to be paid. And I think Graeber's argument is a very important one. He's an anarchist anthropologist. And he wrote a very important book called The Debt. I don't know if it's translated in Spanish, probably. This is maybe what I meant when I wrote this thing. The problem in this paper, I just summarized lots of work we did around the second nature, which is that we should not talk too much about capitalism, because it concentrates attention too much on an animal which is self-feeding on that self-enjoyment, so to speak, of being a monster. But I think everywhere, not only in Chile, but I think every single human being is trying to find alternatives to capitalism. There is a great, I don't know if it's here, but there is a great renaissance of a notion of a commons. The more we move out of a sort of leftist 20th century apocalyptic view because of the ecological crisis, lots of alternatives become visible, but they are somewhat still maintained in the idea of subverting capitalism, and not, capitalism will never be subverted, it's not made for that. Capitalism will be sucked down, so to speak, by the numbers of other alternatives which are everywhere in the world, but mainly because there is no planet for capitalism. So the fight is between the globe, basically, too global, like in, I think I say that in this paper, it's like in the film by Lars von Trier, Melancholia.
Planet.
To revise the original book, and because that's what we are doing. And the next step is an exhibition in 2016, where we will try to make the same sort of assemblages, but not with a paper book, not with a site, but with an exhibition, to have another chance to sort of collect all of these different arguments and to check. So we will have 3 checks. One is the paper book, then it's site, then is an exhibition, and to see if it is a negotiating protocol or not.
Like in making things public.
Yeah, it will be at ZKM too. I mean, it will not be as big, but it will be sort of more documentary exhibition. We don't know yet. I just learned that we have the money for that, which is very important. Always, because it's the most important thing. So we will do the exhibition, definitely. As So people who have contributed to the project will see another version, and the new book will be the catalogue of it.